What if the disease that is stealing the health of 500 million people worldwide, the disease that fills dialysis centers, blinds eyes, amputates limbs, and breaks families? What if this disease was never actually caused by what you have been told your entire life? What if sugar was never the real criminal, but was simply the most convincing scapegoat in the history of modern medicine? What if right now, inside your body, three completely silent processes are building the foundation of diabetes, and none of them have anything to do with how much sugar you ate today? What if the actual destroyers are hiding in your liver, living in your gut, and flowing through your bloodstream every time life becomes too heavy to carry? What if I told you that a person can eliminate every grain of sugar from their life and still walk straight into diabetes because they never address the real causes? And what if understanding those real causes, completely, clearly, at the biological level, could change not just your health, but the health of everyone you love? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, you are going to see diabetes in a way you have never seen it before. And what you see today will protect you for the rest of your life. What if everything your doctor told you about diabetes was incomplete? What if the real enemy was never sitting in your sugar bowl? What if millions of people are managing the wrong problem, treating the wrong symptom, blaming the wrong food, while the actual biological destroyer of their health continues working silently, invisibly, and completely unchallenged inside their body every single day? What if I told you that a person who never drinks soda, never eats candy, never touches a single piece of chocolate in their entire life, can still develop full-blown type 2 diabetes? And what if I told you that this is not a theory, this is not controversial, this is documented biological science that the mainstream medical conversation has consistently failed to bring to your kitchen table? Today, we are not here to scare you. Today, we are here to liberate you. Because the truth about diabetes is not terrifying. It is actually empowering. Once you understand the real cause, once you see the complete picture, you realize that this disease is far more preventable, far more reversible, and far more understandable than anyone has ever made it seem. So let us begin. And let us begin with the most dangerous assumption in modern medicine. We have been taught, generation after generation, that sugar causes diabetes. Your grandmother believed it. Your family doctor reinforced it. Television commercials confirmed it. The entire cultural conversation around diabetes has been built on this one foundational idea. Eat too much sugar, get diabetes. It sounds logical. It sounds clean. It sounds like cause and effect. But here is the biological reality that changes everything you think you know. Sugar does not cause diabetes. Insulin resistance causes diabetes. And insulin resistance is caused by something far deeper, far more complex, and far more dangerous than a piece of birthday cake. Think about what insulin actually does. Insulin is a hormone produced by your pancreas. Its job is to act like a key, a master key that unlocks your body's cells so that glucose from your food can enter and be used as energy. When this system works correctly, you eat food, your blood sugar rises slightly, your pancreas releases insulin, the cells open, glucose enters, blood sugar normalizes, and life continues perfectly. This is a beautiful, elegant, biological symphony. But what happens when the lock changes? What happens when your cells stop responding to insulin's signal? What happens when that master key no longer fits the door? Your pancreas does not know the lock has changed. So it does what any logical system would do. It produces more keys, more insulin, and more, until eventually, the pancreas is exhausted, the blood sugar has nowhere to go, and suddenly your doctor is showing you numbers that change your life forever. This is diabetes. And notice, we have not mentioned sugar once as the cause. Sugar is the passenger. Insulin resistance is the driver. And the question that should shake every single person in this room is, what caused the insulin resistance in the first place? The answer begins in a place most people never consider when they think about diabetes. It begins in your liver. Your liver is the most metabolically active organ in your entire body. It performs over 500 known biological functions every single day. And one of its most critical jobs is glucose management. The liver stores glucose as glycogen, releases it when your blood sugar drops, and works in constant partnership with insulin to keep your blood sugar balanced. When your liver is healthy, this partnership is seamless. But here is what is happening in tens of millions of people right now without any symptoms, without any warning, without any obvious sign of danger. Fat is accumulating inside the liver, not fat around the liver, not fat you can feel or see. Fat inside the liver cells themselves. This condition is called non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, And it is the silent opening chapter of the diabetes story that almost no one is talking about. When fat accumulates inside liver cells, something devastating happens to insulin signaling. The liver becomes resistant to insulin's instructions. It stops taking glucose out of the bloodstream efficiently. It actually continues releasing glucose even when blood sugar is already high, because the insulin signal telling it to stop has become garbled, distorted, ignored. The liver is essentially deaf to insulin. And when the liver becomes deaf to insulin, the entire metabolic orchestra falls into chaos. Now here's the part that should genuinely astonish you. What causes fat to accumulate in the liver? Not dietary fat, not olive oil, not butter. Research consistently shows that the primary driver of liver fat accumulation is fructose, specifically the industrial, concentrated, ultra-processed fructose found in high fructose corn syrup, processed fruit juices, and packaged foods. Unlike glucose, which is processed by every cell in your body, fructose is processed almost exclusively by the liver. When you flood the liver with industrial fructose in quantities that no human liver in evolutionary history ever encountered, it converts that fructose directly into fat and stores it in its own cells. So the sugar conversation is not entirely wrong, but it is focused on the wrong sugar in the wrong organ for the wrong reason. The problem was never that you put sugar in your coffee. The problem is what the food industry has been quietly injecting into virtually every packaged product on grocery store shelves for the past 5 decades. But the liver is only the beginning. Because the second great hidden cause of diabetes lives in a place that will surprise you even more. It lives in your gut. Your digestive system contains approximately 38 trillion microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, that form what scientists call the gut microbiome. This is not simply a community that helps you digest food. This is a living, breathing, communicating biological system that directly controls how your immune system behaves, how your brain functions, how your hormones are regulated, and critically, how your cells respond to insulin. Research published in some of the world's most prestigious scientific journals has demonstrated something extraordinary and disturbing. When the gut microbiome is damaged, when the beneficial bacteria are killed off by antibiotics, processed foods, artificial sweeteners, chlorinated water, chronic stress, and environmental toxins, something called intestinal permeability develops. The gut lining, which is supposed to be a selective barrier, develops microscopic gaps. And through those gaps, bacterial toxins called lipopolysaccharides, or LPS, leak directly into your bloodstream. What happens next is one of the most important biological events in the diabetes story. Your immune system detects these bacterial toxins in the bloodstream and launches an inflammatory response. This inflammatory response directly interferes with insulin receptor signaling at the cellular level. The inflammation essentially jams the lock on your cells so that insulin's key cannot turn. And this is happening continuously, chronically, silently, in the bloodstream of anyone with a compromised gut, whether they eat sugar or not. This means that a person eating a perfectly sugar-free diet but consuming artificial sweeteners, taking frequent antibiotics, eating food-like substances devoid of fiber, and living in chronic stress is actively destroying their insulin sensitivity through their gut, and they will develop diabetes. And their doctor will probably blame the wrong thing. Now we must talk about something that our modern society has completely normalized, something that we treat as an inevitable feature of busy, productive, ambitious life. Something that has been romanticized as the badge of the hardworking. We must talk about chronic stress. Your adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys. When your brain perceives a threat, a lion, a car accident, a terrifying deadline, a painful relationship, a financial crisis, your adrenal glands release cortisol. Cortisol is your survival hormone. Its job is to give you energy immediately, to help you fight or flee, to keep you alive in moments of genuine danger. And here's exactly how cortisol does that. It raises your blood sugar immediately, dramatically. It signals your liver to dump stored glucose into the bloodstream. It signals your fat cells to release fatty acids. It makes your cells temporarily insulin resistant. Because in a survival situation, your muscles and brain need that glucose instantly, without waiting for insulin's careful, measured process. This is a perfect system for surviving a lion attack. It is a catastrophic system for surviving a modern lifestyle. Because today, the lion attack never ends. The financial pressure is constant. The relationship pain is chronic. The work deadline is replaced immediately by another work deadline. The difficult family situation has no resolution. And so cortisol flows, not in bursts, but in a steady, continuous, dripping stream. And that steady stream of cortisol creates steady, chronic, unrelenting elevation of blood sugar. And the pancreas produces more insulin to compensate, and the cells gradually become resistant to that insulin. And over months and years, insulin resistance deepens, the pancreas exhausts, and diabetes arrives. No sugar required, just a life lived in unmanaged chronic stress. This is why research shows that people who experience major traumatic life events have dramatically higher rates of developing diabetes in the following years. This is why people in high-pressure careers develop metabolic disease at shocking rates. This is why the ancient wisdom of every healing tradition on Earth emphasized mental peace not as a luxury, but as a biological necessity. Your emotional life is your metabolic life. They are not separate systems. They are one system, and you cannot treat one while ignoring the other and expect to heal. And now we arrive at the final hidden cause, the one that most people are literally sleeping through: sleep deprivation. A landmark study conducted at the University of Chicago took healthy, young, non-diabetic individuals and restricted their sleep to 4 hours per night for just 6 days. Just 6 days. At the end of those 6 days, these healthy young people had developed insulin resistance equivalent to pre-diabetic levels. Their ability to process glucose had been impaired by 40%. Their cortisol levels had elevated. Their appetite-regulating hormones had been completely disrupted in 6 days. Think about what this means for anyone. And there are hundreds of millions of people in this category who chronically sleeps 5, 6 hours per night, who considers this normal, who wears their sleep deprivation as evidence of their dedication and drive. They are not being dedicated. They are systematically dismantling their metabolic health, night by night, year by year. During deep sleep, your body performs something called glucose metabolism restoration. Growth hormone is released, which counteracts cortisol's effects and improves insulin sensitivity. Inflammatory cytokines are cleared. Cellular repair occurs in insulin receptor sites. Every organ involved in blood sugar regulation, the liver, the pancreas, the adrenal glands, the gut, performs essential restoration work during sleep. When you steal those hours, you steal that restoration. And over time, the debt accumulates in your blood, in your cells, in your future. Sleep is not passive. Sleep is not lazy. Sleep is medicine, metabolic medicine. And it is the most underutilized, completely free, universally accessible intervention for diabetes prevention and reversal that exists on Earth. So what is the complete picture now? What have we actually seen today? We have seen that diabetes is born in the liver when industrial fructose overwhelms the liver's capacity and forces it to store fat within its own cells, making it deaf to insulin. We have seen that diabetes is fueled by a broken gut microbiome that allows bacterial toxins to flood the bloodstream and trigger chronic inflammation that jams insulin receptors at the cellular level. We have seen that diabetes is driven by unmanaged chronic stress that floods the body with cortisol, creating a permanent state of blood sugar elevation and insulin resistance. We have seen that diabetes is accelerated by chronic sleep deprivation that prevents the nightly restoration of insulin sensitivity and allows metabolic damage to compound year after year. And we have seen that sugar, white, refined, concentrated sugar, while certainly not helpful, is not the original architect of this disease. It is a late-stage amplifier of a process that began far upstream in systems and habits and exposures that most people never connect to their blood sugar report. This matters enormously. Because if you believe sugar is the only cause, you will only remove sugar and consider yourself protected. But the inflammation continues, the cortisol continues, the liver fat accumulates, the gut remains damaged, the sleep remains stolen, and the disease progresses, confused by your apparently healthy sugar-free diet. But if you understand the real causes, all of them, completely, at the biological level, then you have real power. You can heal the liver. You can restore the gut. You can regulate stress through practices that are not optional self-care, but essential medicine. You can protect your sleep with the same seriousness you protect your career, your relationships, your finances. You can prevent this disease. You can reverse the early stages of this disease. And you can do it with a depth of understanding that transforms every food choice, every lifestyle decision, every stressful moment into an act of conscious metabolic protection. The real cause of diabetes is not sitting in your sugar bowl. It is sitting in the accumulated choices, exposures, stresses, and misunderstandings of modern life. It is in the processed food industry's manipulation of your liver. It is in the destruction of your gut's protective ecosystem. It is in the chronic stress that society glorifies and your body silently suffers from. It is in the sleep you were told was negotiable, but your cells know is non-negotiable. Today, you have seen the complete picture. Today, you carry knowledge that most people will never receive from a standard 15-minute medical appointment. Today, you understand that your body is not your enemy, that diabetes is not inevitable, and that the path to metabolic health is not about punishment, restriction, and fear. It is about understanding, restoration, and respect for the extraordinary biological intelligence that lives within you. Take this knowledge seriously. Share it with someone you love, because understanding the real cause is the first and most powerful step toward the real cure. But if you understand the real causes, all of them, completely, at the biological level, then you have real power. You can reel the liver. You can restore the gut. You can regulate stress through practices that are not optional self-care, but essential medicine. You can protect your sleep with the same seriousness you protect your career, your relationships, your finances. You can prevent this disease. You can reverse the early stages of this disease. And you can do it with a depth of understanding that transforms every food choice, every lifestyle decision, every stressful moment into an act of conscious metabolic protection.